September the 22nd, 2020, guys. You're looking at National Hurricane Center map, and we've got a Cat 1 at 90 miles an hour about to come ashore up in Halifax. Didn't want to leave you guys out. Again, 16 miles an hour forward movement, so it's coming in quick. Notice the X at 5 p.m. Now, that's been about 2.5 hours ago on the East Coast. So you've got, again, 90 mile an hour storm. Now, the one thing I don't understand, they've got tropical storm warnings, which are the blue lines along your coastline there, guys, and you really should have the red line hurricane warnings, because it's going to come ashore as a Cat 1. Doesn't make sense to me, but it's going to slow, of course, once it comes ashore and moves back out into the water. It will be a tropical storm as it moves north. But again, at 2 p.m. tonight, after midnight, it's going to just about be clear of the island simply because it's moving so fast. But again, I disagree with the warnings here. They should be hurricane warnings. So pay attention to it. Take all the precautions you need. Watch for storm surge, high winds and waves, water spouts, rip currents. You guys, you don't see as many storms as we do as far as hurricanes, but you have seen them before, and you know the drill. Just be prepared for it. If we look at the national satellite imaging, not only do you see how close it's getting to you here, guys, and how wide the bands are. It was a Cat 4 at one time, remember? But look at the smoke coming from the west coast. Right there, and they've got two major fires down in Southern California that they can't do much with, and it's being concentrated as it's pushed outward. And we're seeing that, guys, over in the valleys in Idaho and stuff like that, heavy concentrations this evening of this smoke. And the politicians have turned a deaf ear. We have evil afoot. We talked about it in the video last night about the Kenites, the sons of Cain. And they have been put in place of power all across the nation, in place of education, banks, politicians. And they are in control, and they would rather see this planet burn than people be saved and return to Christ. Satan's mark has always been the fact that he wanted to destroy the bloodline of Christ, from Adam, first creation of God, all the way through up until Christ's crucifixion, and then after that, persecution of the disciples. But all through the Bible, it was an attack on the bloodline, including Abraham and David, of the bloodline of Jesus Christ. And we're in that time now to where, again, a deaf ear's being turned to this. Normally, this would be the #1 news, guys, but they're too wrapped up between the election and trying to find a Supreme Court justice. And they're going to do that, and it's going to create a lot of chaos. But this needs to be addressed, and the longer I see it go on like this, the deeper into evil I know we are. I mentioned this in the video last night about, again, the difference between born again and born from above. And a lot of people ask, would I do a little more about Genesis and how it started. And guys, if I get time this evening, I'll do kind of a short update that will lead you into a study of that. Many of you already know it. I'm not saying that. But looking over at Beta, the remnants, it flooded Texas, man. There's pictures of roads this morning on the news, cars halfway underwater, homes, things like that. Just a lot of rain. I didn't see a lot of wind damage. I'm not saying there's none, but it's been a dry storm. But notice the smoke here that's being pushed and concentrated down through Texas into Mexico, again coming from the west coast. It's amazing that it's being ignored the way it is. But Houston, you're on this side of the storm even now. But if we look, guys, at the infrared radar, even though the cloud cover looks pretty dense, it's very dry. There's high clouds there, but the moisture's been pulled out of the storm by a front that's coming in from West Texas in that area. But guys, if we look at infrared, you can see actually where the moisture is, and there's not that much of it. And that's a good thing for the folks that have been flooded in the area. This thing's kind of playing itself out, It's going to move up through Louisiana as far as the center of the circulation that we saw, and up through Mississippi. I don't know how much rain is going to evolve tomorrow once the sun comes up. We'll just keep an eye on that. But guys, if you look at the overall picture of the U.S. right now, it is amazing that the politicians have turned this deaf ear on the situation that we're seeing. Now, if we back out and look at the entire nation, including parts of Canada, guys, just focus a minute on the smoke. And it's being concentrated by both Teddy offshore, it's pushing, kind of concentrating along the northeast coast and down through Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas. It's very thick here. But the thickest places that I'm seeing is where it's being trapped in the valleys here, going up into Idaho and through this area. And guys, look at the size of these fires here that are burning practically out of control in Central California now. Look at that. There's other fires burning all along this area. You can see here that a lot of it's being obscured by clouds at this point. But again, if I get time, I'm going to go in. We're going to talk a little bit more about the evil that we're facing right now, and they are in control of the planet. And if you think you can stop it, you're not going to do that. But what you do is prepare in a much better way. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.